Check out 11 actors and celebrities who are unfortunately very sick in real life, and you didn't know about it. Subscribe now and leave messages of strength and support in the comments for their recovery. The legendary piano man who filled stadiums for decades, Billy Joel, has been forced to step away from performing after a diagnosis that's affecting his most fundamental abilities. In May 2025, the 76-year-old revealed he's battling normal pressure hydrocephalus, a condition where cerebrospinal fluid builds up inside the skull and presses on the brain. The diagnosis came after months of worsening symptoms that doctors initially struggled to identify. According to published reports, the condition has severely impacted Joel's hearing, vision, and balance. In February 2025, he fell on stage during a performance in Connecticut, an incident captured on video that showed him losing his balance and hitting the floor hard. His friend Howard Stern later revealed that Joel describes his balance as feeling like being on a boat constantly. The condition causes cognitive symptoms that can mimic dementia, including memory issues and difficulty with concentration. Medical experts explain that normal pressure hydrocephalus primarily affects people over 65 and occurs when the brain cannot properly drain cerebrospinal fluid. Without treatment, it can lead to permanent brain damage. Joel told Bill Maher on his podcast that his condition is being worked on but isn't fixed. The singer speculated that his past as a heavy drinker may have contributed to the problem. He's undergoing specific physical therapy as recommended by doctors and has canceled all tour dates indefinitely. The multi-talented entertainer who built a career hosting America's Got Talent and creating hit shows, Nick Cannon, nearly died in January 2012 during what should have been a relaxing family vacation. The 44-year-old was in Aspen with his then-wife Mariah Carey and their newborn twins when he experienced sudden kidney failure. What doctors initially thought was a simple kidney infection turned out to be something far more sinister. According to media reports, Cannon was diagnosed with lupus nephritis, a rare and potentially fatal form of lupus that specifically attacks the kidneys. The autoimmune disease causes the body's immune system to mistakenly attack healthy tissue, and in Cannon's case, it targeted his kidneys with devastating effect. Less than a month after his first hospitalization, he was rushed back to the emergency room with blood clots in his lungs, a life-threatening condition called pulmonary embolism. Doctors put him on an aggressive treatment regimen that included prednisone, the powerful chemotherapy drug Cellcept, and medications for the dangerous high blood pressure threatening his kidneys. He had to adopt a strict low-sodium diet, eliminating red meat and pork entirely. The disease forced him to quit his popular morning radio show because the demanding schedule was exacerbating his symptoms. In 2022, he marked 10 years since his diagnosis by releasing documentary footage showing his darkest moments, including lying alone in a hospital room facing the possibility of death. He continues managing his condition with medication and lifestyle modifications. Michael Douglas built one of Hollywood's most celebrated careers across 6 decades, winning 2 Academy Awards and becoming a household name through iconic roles in Wall Street, Basic Instinct, and Fatal Attraction. But in 2010, the son of legendary actor Kirk Douglas faced a battle that nearly ended everything. The actor spent almost a year visiting doctors who kept dismissing his persistent sore throat as just an infection. Specialists across the United States failed to catch what was growing inside his throat. It wasn't until a doctor at a teaching hospital in Quebec, near his summer home in Mont-Tremblant, finally discovered a walnut-sized tumor at the base of his tongue. The diagnosis was stage 4 squamous cell carcinoma, one of the most aggressive throat cancers. The now 80-year-old endured 8 brutal weeks of daily radiation and multiple chemotherapy rounds. According to medical reports, the treatment destroyed his salivary glands, leaving him with chronic dry mouth. He lost 32 pounds as swallowing became increasingly difficult. Douglas later revealed to The Guardian that his cancer stemmed from HPV, though decades of smoking and drinking likely contributed. Medical experts explained that surgery would have required removing part of his jaw, potentially ending his ability to speak. He remains in remission and continues regular checkups every 6 months. The sharp-witted comedic actor who dominated 30 Rock for 7 seasons, Alec Baldwin, has been battling an invisible enemy for over 20 years. He was first bitten by a tick around 2000 while living on his sprawling estate in the Hamptons, and the infection changed his life forever. Surrounded by wooded areas and open fields, he became an easy target for the tiny parasites that carry Lyme disease. According to media reports, Baldwin experienced symptoms so severe during the first infection that he genuinely believed he was dying. Alone in his bed, drenched in sweat, suffering from crushing joint pain and complete exhaustion, he wondered if anyone would find him in time. The infection returned multiple times, attacking him every August like clockwork for 5 consecutive years. Each summer brought the same nightmare: flu-like symptoms, cold sweats, and debilitating soreness that left him bedridden for days. What makes his condition particularly troubling is the chronic nature of the illness. Baldwin revealed on the Hypochondriactor podcast that he continues experiencing severe joint pain between the yearly flare-ups. Medical professionals have been reluctant to officially diagnose him with chronic Lyme disease, a controversial condition within the medical community. Now living with his wife, Hilaria, and their 7 children in Amagansett, he admits the family lives in constant fear of ticks, checking the children obsessively for any signs of bites. One of the world's most recognizable supermodels, Bella Hadid, has walked runways for Victoria's Secret, graced countless Vogue covers, and built an empire in an industry that demands physical perfection. But behind the glamorous facade, the 28-year-old has been fighting a devastating battle since she was just a teenager. In 2012, doctors diagnosed her with Lyme disease after years of unexplained symptoms that left her unable to function normally. According to published reports, Hadid experienced extreme exhaustion that went far beyond typical fatigue. She struggled with severe brain fog, light and sound sensitivity, debilitating joint pain, and inflammation that made even basic daily activities feel impossible.
I know what it feels like to not want to get out of bed from bone pains and exhaustion, days on end, and not want to socialize or be around people because the anxiety and brain fog just isn't worth it.
Her mother, Yolanda Hadid, who also battles the disease, described watching her daughter suffer as cutting the deepest core of hopelessness inside her. Medical records from 2013 revealed Bella's extensive list of ailments, including attention deficit disorder, memory disturbances, headaches, chest pain, and sleep disorders. The disease forced her to step away from modeling multiple times for intensive treatment. In 2023, she shared images from over 100 days of treatment, showing herself connected to IV lines and various medical equipment. Her brother Anwar also suffers from the condition. Infelizmente, despite aggressive treatment protocols, the chronic neurological effects continue to impact her life. She's been hospitalized as recently as September 2025 for complications. Bella continues managing her symptoms with specialized medical care while maintaining her modeling career when physically able. The Australian actor who became a global superstar playing Wolverine in the X-Men franchise, Hugh Jackman, has faced a relentless enemy that keeps returning. Since 2013, the 56-year-old has undergone at least 6 surgical procedures to remove basal cell carcinomas from his face, primarily on his nose. What started as a small spot, his wife, Deborah Lee Furness, urged him to check, has turned into a decades-long battle. Basal cell carcinoma rarely spreads to other parts of the body, but left untreated, it can cause severe disfigurement and tissue damage. According to media reports, Jackman's repeated diagnoses stem from his childhood in Australia, where he spent countless hours in the intense sun without protection. The damage from decades ago continues manifesting now. Each new lesion requires Mohs surgery, a precise technique where surgeons remove tissue layer by layer, examining it under a microscope during the procedure to ensure all cancer cells are eliminated. The procedures have left visible scars on his face. In 2023, he posted images showing bandages across his nose after 2 more biopsies. Though those particular tests came back negative, medical experts explain that once diagnosed with basal cell carcinoma, patients face significantly higher risks of developing more. Jackman has become a vocal advocate for sun protection, regularly posting reminders to his millions of followers. He continues monitoring his skin closely with dermatologists and undergoes regular screenings. The actress whose crystal-clear soprano voice brought joy to millions through Mary Poppins and The Sound of Music, Julie Andrews, lost the gift that defined her entire existence in a single surgical procedure. In June 1997, the then 61-year-old underwent what was supposed to be a routine operation to remove a benign lesion from her vocal cords. Instead, she woke up to find her legendary 4-octave singing voice destroyed forever. According to published reports, Andrews had been experiencing vocal issues during her run in the Broadway version of Victor Victoria. Doctors diagnosed a cyst-like lesion on her vocal cords and assured her the surgery carried no risk to her voice. She'd be singing again within weeks. But the operation at Mount Sinai Hospital left her vocal cords severely scarred. The scar tissue made the cords stiff and unable to vibrate properly, reducing her speaking voice to a rasp and eliminating her ability to sing entirely.
And now you can't sing at all?
No.
It's not just that you can't hit the high notes. You can't sing.
No, I simply can't do a song for you.
Her husband, Blake Edwards, stated in 1998 that he didn't believe she'd ever sing again, calling it an absolute tragedy. In December 1999, Andrews filed a medical malpractice lawsuit claiming she hadn't been warned of the risks and that the surgery had ruined her ability to sing. The case settled privately in 2000. She later worked with renowned voice surgeon Dr. Steven Zeitels, who discovered most of her vocal tissue had been permanently lost during the original procedure. Her singing range was reduced from 4 octaves to approximately 1. Andrews sought grief counseling in 1999 to cope with the devastating loss. She continues working as an actress and author, but her singing voice remains severely limited. The child star who captured hearts playing the title role in Malcolm in the Middle, Frankie Muniz, faces a condition that's stolen pieces of his past. The 39-year-old has publicly discussed struggling with significant memory loss that prevents him from recalling major portions of his life, including much of his time filming the hit series that made him famous. For years, media reports claimed he suffered multiple mini-strokes, creating a narrative that he was slowly losing his mind. According to published reports, Muniz experienced frightening episodes where he'd lose vision, experience numbness, and couldn't recognize faces. Doctors initially diagnosed him with transient ischemic attacks, telling him he was having mini-strokes. He revealed suffering from 9 concussions throughout his life, starting at age 7 during a soccer game. In 2012 and 2013, he was hospitalized twice for suspected stroke-like episodes that terrified him. However, in 2021 on Steve-O's podcast, Muniz clarified that the mini-stroke diagnosis was wrong.
I went for a long time. I was having these episodes where I'd have like numbness and I couldn't really see, like I'd lose peripheral vision and all this stuff. And everyone was telling me like, you're having TIAs.
Medical professionals eventually determined he was actually experiencing aura migraines, a neurological condition that causes similar symptoms but isn't as life-threatening. He explained on the Pardon My Take podcast that Dancing with the Stars edited his comments to make it seem like he had complete amnesia, which wasn't accurate. While he struggles distinguishing dreams from reality and doesn't remember specific episodes of his show, he hasn't forgotten everything. The memory issues persist. The rock legend behind classics like Heart of Gold and Harvest Moon, Neil Young, has battled more health crises than most people face in multiple lifetimes. The 79-year-old's medical struggles began in childhood when, at age 5 in 1951, he contracted polio during the last major outbreak in Ontario. The disease left him severely ill and partially paralyzed on his left side, forcing him to relearn how to walk. According to published reports, Young also developed type 1 diabetes as a child, requiring him to manage insulin injections and blood sugar levels daily. As if those challenges weren't enough, he began experiencing epileptic seizures in the 1960s. He described one memorable episode in 1967 at a radio festival, where he suddenly found himself on his back on the pavement, unable to remember what happened. The seizures continued for years, and he learned to recognize the warning signs during performances, leaving the stage when he felt one coming. In 2005, at age 54, Young faced perhaps his most life-threatening crisis. Doctors discovered a brain aneurysm, a bulge in a blood vessel that could rupture and cause death at any moment. He underwent surgery to repair it, but 2 days later, his femoral artery burst on the street, leaving him unconscious in a pool of blood. Emergency responders had to revive him. More recently, he's been dealing with arthritis in his hands that affects his ability to play guitar. The seizures have stopped as he aged, and he manages his various conditions while continuing to perform and record music when health permits. Hollywood's highest-grossing actor of all time, Samuel L. Jackson, overcame a disability so severe that he stopped speaking entirely for nearly a year during his school days. The 76-year-old has battled a debilitating stutter since childhood, a condition that made even simple communication feel impossible and led to relentless bullying from his classmates. According to media reports, Jackson's stutter was so profound that reading aloud triggered the worst episodes. His aunt, a performing arts teacher, recognized his struggle and took him to speech therapists, hoping to help him find his voice. The condition manifests differently depending on certain sounds, with Jackson experiencing particularly difficult days with N or RRR sounds. He learned to work around it by quickly substituting different words when he felt a stutter coming. Interestingly, Jackson discovered an unusual coping mechanism that helps control his speech impediment. He jokes that a certain famous swear word flips a switch in his brain and helps him control the stutter, which partly explains why that particular profanity appears so frequently in his films. He taught himself management techniques by reading extensively and practicing breathing exercises from library books, never receiving formal speech therapy. When he took on the role of Richmond Valentine in Kingsman: The Secret Service, Jackson specifically chose to give the villain a lisp, embracing rather than hiding his own history with speech difficulties. The stutter still affects him today, particularly when reading, but he's learned to manage it through decades of practice. The 7-time Grand Slam champion who dominated tennis alongside her sister Serena, Venus Williams, has been fighting an invisible battle that nearly ended her career. Beginning in 2004, the 44-year-old experienced extreme fatigue and shortness of breath that made no sense for an elite athlete at the peak of her physical conditioning. No matter how hard she trained, she felt exhausted and never in shape. According to published reports, Williams' symptoms worsened progressively over 7 years before she finally received a diagnosis in 2011. By then, she could barely function. The debilitating joint pain, swelling, numbness, and crushing fatigue forced her to withdraw from the US Open just minutes before a scheduled second-round match. Doctors determined she had Sjogren's syndrome, a chronic autoimmune disease where the immune system attacks the glands that produce moisture in the body. The condition causes severe dry eyes and mouth, but the systemic effects go far deeper. More than 80% of patients experience chronic fatigue and muscle pain that significantly reduces quality of life. Williams described her existence before medication as being extremely uncomfortable and said, "Just being alive was very uncomfortable." Williams adopted a vegan diet and worked with nutritionists to manage her symptoms. She's spoken about the medications taking months to become effective, requiring patience during an agonizing waiting period. The condition remains progressive and doesn't go through remissions like some autoimmune diseases. She continues managing Sjogren's syndrome with medication and lifestyle modifications while competing when her body allows. Do you know anyone going through the same situation? Tell me in the comments. Make sure to subscribe and tap the like button too. I picked another video just like this one that I know you're going to love. It should be popping up on your screen right now.